Anyhow, episode 3. Alex B in the building. Alex B back. Alexander the Curious George. All the aliases, as I said. Recognizing patterns on this journey to self-actualization, to self-transcendence. Let's talk about things that you notice just kind of happening to you or happening from you. Give an example. What's a good example? Here's a recent one. Is how I knew that I needed to pursue a life of being a performer or being an actor. Is that I was told, literally in the past couple of years too, that I have this face that looks like it needed to be in movies or something, you know. And it's the same conversation that you're having inside your head as well. Sometimes a lot of the conversation that you have in your inner world gets reflected from others. You know, you get that kind of validation that sometimes you get that validation from other people, and you've been thinking about it, and it's so real, and it feels so real. It feels surreal when it happens to you, but you actually know that it's your truth. So when it's really your truth, it's kind of like, it's just kind of a little head nod, like, oh, I'm really on the right path. Oh, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I am. This is who I am. So that actually happened within the past definitely couple of years, because I did a lot of internal work, because 2020 was such a blur of a year, kind of, you know, like it was an unknown year. It was a question mark year. You didn't know where theater was gonna go. You didn't know where the arts was gonna go. You didn't know where the world was gonna go. People were, including myself, were very on edge, and it was a hard time for me and my family, because we were going through some rough things with the family business, you know, and I had to deal with a lot of the repercussions of that. But within that like dark time though, you know, I did a lot of self-reflecting and discovery, and realizing that I did want to pursue acting full force, that I did want to be a creative. I didn't want to just be an actor. Like I also wanted to be I was a dance teacher. I wanted to be a better dance teacher. I wanted to be a better dancer, a better choreographer. You know, all these things get relative. Just a better creative in general, a better person, a better human being, you know? It all gets related. And, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So that pattern of my own behavior, I had to recognize that because I wanted to excel in an area, it made me want to excel in all areas of my life. So that's something to note as well. This idea of pattern behavior. Things that you also do, I would say, religiously. Like, what's your morning ritual? Do you have one? There was a time when I used to not ever make my bed. This was a time where I lacked a lot of structure, actually. But there was a time where I didn't make my bed at all, and it caused a lot of chaos in my life, actually. My room was a mess for years. I actually tidied up my bed just before I made this video. Actually, just before I turned it on, I tidied up a little bit just to make things a bit more, have more clarity, have more, you know, like functionality to the aesthetic. Because some chaos is good, but creativity stems from chaos and discipline and order as well, right? You just got to know how to use both. You just got to know how to operate in both arenas and make it symbiosis. So, like I realized when I started making my bed, things had it was a psychological trigger in my head that I accomplished something, especially in the morning. And it set out for a much better day ahead. And I saw that video of, there's like a Marine speaking about this on YouTube, and he says, make your bed every day. And there's this like that beauty of structure of making the bed, or just cleanliness, and to some extent that it's a very small achievement, but sets the tone for the whole day. Because I'm not home a lot. I'm really not home that often. But knowing that at least my bed was made and it was done, that I have that in the back of my conscience is that I achieved something, at least, right? So that pattern of behavior builds character, and this character that you are building in your own inner world, your own life, is shaping who you are, right? Making you more and more self-actualized, or transcending the person that you currently are, right? So these are just some things to think about, things to do, that I do, that might help you as well. No, definitely, like, tap into some of this, like, I'm a spiritual guy, but tap into, like, the symbolism that things mean sometimes, you know? Like, there was a time in 2020 where, like, a butterfly, or there was a butterfly or like a dragonfly would just fly into my vicinity and just out of nowhere. It would just, like, one time I was working out in the garage, and a random dragonfly just flew in and was just kind of existing in my space. And I asked myself why. I was like, why? What is this dragonfly doing here, just casually, you know? Little did I know when I looked it up is that a dragonfly symbolizes change and transformation, and that they have a 360 vision. So, like, they see the world a little differently than you. They see it in a definitely like a more, you know. And so I was actually going through changes as well at that time, and things I had to acknowledge within myself that had to transform. I had to decide who I really wanted to be, what I was meant to be, I think I had to stop running away from who I was and really step into it, step into that role, right? And sometimes these patterns won't always be so direct. A lot of it's actually indirect. I would be grateful when it is direct, if you get enough direct interactions. But a lot of the times it's really not so in your face. You have to look at the small little subtle things. Like that dragonfly thing, that's very subtle. Like people would just, a lot of that information would just go over people's heads. But these life forms, these things, these insects, these, trees, even plants, energy, it's all energy. It's all energy. It's all flowing. It's all operating at a certain frequency. And when you are operating within that same frequency of purpose and awareness, that you would attract, let's say, said so butterfly or dragonfly, and it's just, the symbolism behind that. It's showing you something. It's giving you a little. The universe is giving you a little nod. Hey, you're changing. Things are changing about you. Accept it. Welcome it. Right? There was actually a person that I was talking to intimately at that time, right? And a lot relationships, like mirrors, especially with my interactions with women, is that they're very intuitive. I attract usually pretty intuitive women, and we had this conversation. She would tell me that if I was gonna do this whole acting thing, if I was gonna do this whole business as an actor or whatever, as a creative, that there's no half-assing it. Just gotta go all in, make that plunge. Do it wholeheartedly. Because prior to this conversation, actually, I was actually trying to be a financial advisor, have that security and safety. And then, doing auditions on the side or whatever, doing theater as a little side thing, right? That was the plan in the beginning. Kind of do it as a hobby. But little did I know is that hobby is so it's so vital to who I am. It's man, you need to be a creative. You need to be this 100%, 100,000%, because you have it's a lot of things just come. It's so natural. It's so natural to me. To just to be a teacher, to appreciate art and all this stuff. It's like food, it's it just feeds me. It feeds me so much. And I think I was just scared to do that, make that plunge. It was me running away from myself. It was fear. It was me operating out of fear. And I had to acknowledge that. I had to acknowledge that pattern, which is why I was grateful, and I was fortunate to have that conversation, because it was a good lesson to know that yeah, if you really want to do this thing, man, it's like, it's all in. Because, yeah, you could do it part-time. You could. And because you got to pay the bills, right? You got to pay the bills. Yeah, which exactly what I'm doing right now. You know, I have a day job, and I go to school at night. Right now, you know, I'm on winter break, but just working a lot, working. A restaurant job, you know, it's what I'm used to. I grew up restaurant. I actually like it, right? But that's not where I want to stay. That's not where I'm gonna be long term. I even knew while I was working at my dad's restaurant that it wasn't gonna be the end all be all. My dad knew too. My dad could tell. You know, he didn't want that for me. He wanted me to be and become who I wanted to become. I think the restaurant was always going to be there for me if I ever needed it. Come back for it. But there was just so much more out there for me that I needed to tap into. I almost even started missing it. Like, I was still working at the restaurant, and I had so much. I could see into the future, and I was already like, man, I can't stop thinking about the next time I'm gonna perform. When's the next play? When's the next musical? When's the next time I get to get a script and become another character and like perform it on stage? When's the next time I can analyze something? When's the next time I can speak and use my body, my physicality? I was just thinking about this stuff while I was working my nuts off 2019, 2020. And I knew that since it was all I could think about, since it was all I could think about, I'm like, this is what I need to do. I gotta stop fucking lying to myself, man. What the fuck? I need to fucking give me an outlet. Let me do something. That's not here, right? At the restaurant. You know, by all means, always grateful for the restaurant. Taught me many, many lessons. But that's not where my soul wanted to be. That's not what my soul wanted to do. Not wholeheartedly, at least. I did it because I loved helping out my dad. And I love the people. Love the people. The people you meet in restaurant. Oh, man. Especially small business, family owned. Meet some great people. Relationships, family members, friends, visiting in and out, you know, supporting local. Like, I was fulfilled. Like, I was fulfilled doing that, actually, working at the family biz. I was very fulfilled. It's a very fulfilling role. And to be that involved in a community. Like, you saw the same regulars, and sometimes you would see new customers. They heard it from word of mouth that this was the best Thai restaurant in town. And, you know, it was rewarding to think that we had a top-notch Thai restaurant in my hometown, because I like to associate myself with the best of the best. And my dad actually is he's just like that. He's just as crazy as me, if not crazier. We're the same crazy, me and him. Mastery is a huge motivating factor for us. We pride ourselves in mastery, perfection. But I had to. You know, if we wanted to operate in that household, we had to be that way. We had to be excellent, be the best. That's how you survived at the Bounyavong household. You know? So yeah. Patterns. Patterns, patterns, patterns. It's really interesting. It's so there for us to see and notice, but sometimes we just take it for granted, because I sure did. I did a lot. Like I would have conversations with friends, like best friends. They would tell me to, like, yeah, you should get involved in, this is before I ever got involved into like acting or theater. Like my best friend Jocelyn, she used to tell me all the time to do it, to get into it, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I think, I don't know if I actually recalled her saying that. Maybe, because she did. I just kind of like, it left, because, like, it wasn't always considered the cool thing to do. Because I did sports, right? And sports was what got all the girls and all the attention and all that stuff, all that jazz. But now, things are different, man. People are attracted to authenticity. People are attracted to people who know themselves. People are attracted to a person who doesn't have to, lie to kick it, right? They're attracted to someone who just is genuinely, unapologetically themselves. Then that real aura expounds, right? And people feel you. They see you. People can see you. You can be seen. You can walk into a party, and you can walk into a space, and you can look and be attractive. You can look the part of being attractive. But do they feel how attractive you are, though? This is the most important part, is that, are you actually attractive? So I was able to walk into rooms, and I just knew that I had presence in the room. And I know that the only reason why I know that is because I had this conversation with my friend Emmanuel. The reason why I have so much presence is because I am present. Think about that for a second. I am present and in the moment. That's why I have presence. I'm taking everything in. Taking it all in. This blind right next to me, my wall, the corner, my blue sheets, my hat that I'm wearing, white t-shirt, this light flashing on me, my rings on my fingers, taking it all in. I feel it all. My nose is a little stuffy, a little congested, but like, I'm here. Yeah? Experiencing, living. And people, whether they want to admit it or not, they feel that. They feel when someone's present. They feel when someone has presence. I wasn't always the best performer, I would say. I would say when I was a dancer, and I was really not in my body. When I was a dancer, not in my body, I kind of just danced from memory, and I was too in my head. I'm still too in my head sometimes, but I'm way more in my body now, way more. But that took practice. Ends on days, nights of practice. I used to spend hours in the studio till 2 a.m. coming home to 2020. and stuff. Like, it's just, in like 2019, years, bro. Years. I had to understand why I wasn't like looking like these professionals, you know? I had to fucking grind. And I'm still grinding. It's just one of those things. So the key word is presence that I'm talking about here. Like, people told me that I had presence. But like when I just started out acting and I was getting roles, and when I was in school, I had my first role that I ever landed was in a TMA show. It's called Flu Season, and it was a lead role, and it was the role as Man. And I was in my last year of college, and I used whatever I had learned, because I was a theater major. I used whatever I had learned in all my acting classes, and my directing classes, and all this good stuff, and I used it towards creating this character for this play. And I asked, people what they thought about it, my performance, and one thing that came up a lot was presence. That I have a presence on stage. That when I'm on stage, I make it known that I am there, that you can't miss me. You won't miss me. I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm felt. I may not be the best actor at that time on the stage, but they can tell that somebody, that who that character is, you gotta acknowledge them. Can't ignore them. So I think that comes segues into what I'm talking about, is that recognizing patterns. Is that I had presence on stage. I had presence in real life. I just had presence, Like when I was at work with my dad, like I am the owner's son. But imagine if I was some like fucking soft, just weak, unmotivated kid. Like, you wouldn't really bat an eye. Like, you wouldn't really want to get to know me. But people wanted to get to know me. Because I have things going on, you know what I mean? Like, it's just this. So I just recognize these patterns that, like, oh man, like I have really complete presence, even in conversation. Even if it's a small conversation with a stranger, I treat it like any other same conversation. I give them the valuable time and attention just like anyone, Like, I really listen. Actually, genuinely curious. No matter who it is. Sometimes my attention span might waver, but yeah. I'll usually be friendly enough. I'm usually charming enough to be able to cut it off or, cut loose. But I do like to hear what people say. I do like to see and feel and listen to how people operate, because everybody's so fascinating to me. Human beings are unique. I have a genuine curiosity of humanity. So, makes sense why I like being an actor so much, right? when I dive deep into some things about like who I am, I realized that I like to pay attention to people's behavior to a point of like their strengths. What are they really good at? You know, what are some areas where they what that they could potentially seem like harmful or hurtful or misunderstood, right? Because it's all information, you know. I take it as it is. I try not to judge. I just take the information and I collect the data and I use it as such. I make my conclusions, and you know, I remember small bits and pieces of things about people. It to an almost weird level that it might actually scare them or freak them out that I recall said information because I was so present in conversation. But I have selective hearing too. Sometimes I don't be hearing everything. So, you know, there's that too. But yeah, recognizing patterns. I think if you also study the Archangel Uriel, I think I learned from the show Lucifer is that he's also the angel of wisdom, and he's also the angel of pattern behavior, right? Like, yeah. So, if you're into that stuff, spirituality, studying, I like that stuff though. I love that stuff. I got the Archangel Michael on my necklace because he's the one that I believe, when I looked it up, pertains mostly to me, in terms of like how I operate or so. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to end it there until the next episode, on episode 4. So until then, blessings. Peace.